life hack this week is about owning it, or that's the way I'm thinking of it. And what I mean by that is getting to ownership as fast as you can. Now, I'm not talking about things. I'm talking about the situations you find yourself in. You will find that the quicker you can get to ownership, the more empowered you will feel. That sounds great, doesn't it? But it can be very tricky to do because somebody betrays you, somebody lies to your face, somebody steals from you, somebody does something to you. How do you own that? You didn't make them lie to you, you didn't make them cheat you, betray you, backstab you, you know, sort of stuff people do. You didn't make them do any of those things. It's kind of out of your control. So you go, how do I own that? You own it by simply saying, I own it. And the reason to do that, why would you even bother to do that? Why would you even bother to own something like that? Is because when somebody does something to you, it's very easy to feel disempowered. Like you are a leaf that's just blown around in the wind. The winds of fate are just blowing you this way and that way, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do about it is get blown around. And that doesn't feel good. That feels terrible. Because then it's like, well, what's going to happen next? I'm just, at the whim. And you don't know if that's true or not. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But as soon as you can get to ownership, like I made this happen, not in a judgmental way, not in a way that makes you feel bad, but in a majestic, expansive, I created this whole thing. I don't know why I did, but I'm going to claim it. I'm going to own it. It activates different machinery inside you when you are asking yourself, when you're wondering about why you created it in the first place. You're wondering about it. If you were kind of feeling like a leaf blown around in the wind, you'd never ask yourself. You'd never wonder why this happened. You would always be feeling like you were a victim of everything. When's the next terrible thing going to happen to me? So it's nothing to do with, I want proof that I created this. It's not that at all. There's no proof. You won't get proof. You'll never get the proof, but you'll get the change in the way you feel on the inside because you'll feel different. As I say, you'll activate different machinery inside yourself when you go, I did this. I don't know how I did it. I don't know why I did it, but I'm going to own it. I'm going to claim it. And that's for everything. The little things in your own life, but also the bigger things on the global stage, the wars, the famines. I own it all. I don't know how I do any of it, but I'm going to own it all because then I think about it differently. I'm not giving myself a hard time about it, like, oh, why did I create this? I start from the perspective of I don't know, but by owning it, I'm feeling charge in some way, and it becomes a very interesting puzzle that I'm in the process of figuring out, or at least trying to figure out when I own it. And I've done both, like I'm sure you have. I've felt like a victim, and it feels awful. I don't like it. And when I take ownership of everything, I don't feel like a victim and I don't feel as awful. I still feel very bad about the terrible things that happen in the world. I wish they didn't. I wish they didn't at all. But I feel a lot better about them when I own them, because then I'm creative. It activates creativity in me. I'm looking for my fingerprints. I'm looking for how I can make it better. How I can change things. What's the most efficient thing I can do to change it? To stop the famine, to stop the war. What can I do? How can I help? I'm creating the whole thing, so how do I uncreate it? How do I create it better? Much more enjoyable experience than, I don't know why any of this stuff is happening, and it's a terrible, scary, awful world. And all I can do is just try and avoid being obliterated by a gust of wind. That's no fun. That's not enjoyable. So that's my life hack. Own it. As fast as you can, own it. Not because you do, I just put that to one side, but because it just feels better when I own it.